All right, everybody. Welcome to another episode of The Blind View here on Becca's World. And here is your host, Miss Rebecca Meadows.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining me today for this exciting episode of The Blind View. My co-hosts Anya and Brandon are with me. How are you guys tonight?
Hey, doing great.
Everybody. Good to be back with
Howdy.
you.
Yeah, I'm sorry that we're doing the show an hour late tonight, gang, but I had to go see my massage therapist today. It's kind of an emergency because when I woke up this morning, I couldn't walk without terrible pain.
I was going to say, can you guys believe it? Becca said she woke up this morning and could not walk. I mean, that is one heck of a thing to say to start the show. I cannot relate to that, but I happen to know a little bit of inside baseball, but I think you guys are going to be very lucky because I think she's going to tell you all as well.
Okay, so, yeah, my left hip was way jacked up, and I've had problems with both of my hips in my life since the injuries I sustained as a child, right? In fact, when I had my first son, when he was a baby, I was holding him and my right hip collapsed on me and I almost dropped him. And my right hip had been paining me for years prior to that. And when it collapsed like that, it really hurt. And I actually, when it collapsed and I almost fell and dropped my son, I kind of threw my body the opposite direction. So all my weight went onto my left leg and I was able to maintain and not drop my son. And I kind of shook my leg vigorously as I did all of that. And my hip kind of popped back into joint that day. But then when I would walk on it, it was excruciating pain for a long time. And I think it hadn't gone in all the way that day. But then it finally did seed in all the way and it was better for a long time. But it still pains me from time to time. That's my right hip. But my left hip, because of the paralysis, it's given me even more problems over time. And yeah, it was so bad this morning. I couldn't walk. It was just excruciating. Every step I took, I just wanted to scream. It hurt. It was just really bad. Honestly, I think my hip was out, but my massage therapist helped me with it.
Well, it's so nice that you live in a country where you can call a person and you have resources and you have ability to call somebody and then get help immediately. That is something to be grateful for, isn't it?
Yes. I'm glad that we have that ability here in America. And I'm glad that we have such fine practitioners of so many different areas of medicine, right? Like I'm telling you, my massage therapist, he is like top of the line in his field, right? I think we probably have a lot of awesome medical professionals here in the Phoenix area, but I was really fortunate to find Lance because when I first moved here in 2016, I had just been in my fourth car accident 2 months before I moved here. And
actually, though, I got to push back a little bit, guys. I mean, I don't feel very good at all about the healthcare system in this country. And I am very happy for you, Becca, but I am not used to it. And I'm surprised when people are surprised when they call, to make an appointment and they say, the provider's staff says, oh, yeah, so we can see you in like 2 weeks. And people are like, 2 weeks? And I'm like, well, yeah, what did you expect? I mean,
2 weeks is nothing, honey.
We're
2
not
weeks
in the
is
military.
nothing.
I mean, yeah, they get seen soon. I mean, you're surprised that it's going to take 2 weeks to be seen. I mean, what did you expect?
No,
but
2
let
weeks
me.
is nothing.
So my quote unquote practitioner, Lance, my massage therapist, he's much more than just my massage therapist. Lance is my life coach. He's my yoga instructor. He is also one of my best friends in life. And so Lance makes time for me, right? Like he calls me, right? Like I've known him for 5 years and he's been working with me for 5 years. And he'll call me up and he'll say, hey, Becca, I'm looking at my calendar for the next 2 weeks. And I'm noticing that I'm getting booked up because he has like online booking. And So he'll call me up and he'll tell me, like, I have this appointment or that appointment left this week and this one or that one next week if you'd like to schedule, because he knows that I usually see him about twice a month. You know what I mean? And so he thinks about me and he calls me up and makes sure that I can get in to see him if I need to. And like I said, like he sees me in emergency cases like this morning. Like I texted him this morning. I said, I can't walk. And he called me up. He's like, I can see you at 4 today, you know?
Well, right, but this is more of an exception, you know. What Brandon is saying is it's more of a general what's happening. In your case, yeah, for sure. Like you said, you have, he's your friend, he's your yoga instructor, whatever. Yeah, but I think Brandon, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you're saying that, like in general, healthcare system is
right. Well, let me tell you something else about Lance. Lance doesn't have a receptionist that answers the phone and does his scheduling for him. Lance's people, like his clients, go online and schedule, or they call him on the phone. Like he has a few clients, I think, that have been clients of his for a long time, like I have, that call him on the phone to schedule. But he gives me that privilege because, like, I've been seeing him for 5 years, and 5 years ago when I started seeing him, I had no tech skills and I couldn't go online to schedule. So he's always just made it so I just call him or text him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and like I said,
that's good, but no, you understand me very, very well, Anya. And even when I was in the hospital last year, I was in the hospital, right? I was admitted. I was in a room, like I was there for about 2 weeks, right? Mm-hmm. And even in the hospital, they would say, "Oh yeah, you'll probably go down and do that today." The whole day would go by, and there would be no progress. I would go nowhere except that room. And
I hear you.
It's very uncomfortable as a patient because it's just like, I don't know, like here I'm being told this is aggressive. We need to get you in like yesterday, and then it's, oh yeah, that'll probably happen tomorrow. Then tomorrow comes, and you kind of like get ready, like, oh, I don't know, I've never had that done before. Like, what's that going to be like? And then nothing happens. It's just, yeah, well, I'm sorry, but they got busy with a lot of.
American healthcare system is fucked up. Like, I mean, it's not about health and neither about care. Like, I wish Trump would pay more attention to this and try to resolve it somehow.
Oh, I think Robert F. Kennedy Jr. will, if we can get him in there. If we can get him in there. I mean, it's very contentious, but if we can get him in there, I think he will.
At least some of it. Oh, go ahead, Becca. We can't hear you, Becca.
Can you hear me now?
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Oh, okay. And now I forgot what I was gonna say. I was gonna say that I have noticed the same thing, that there's a lot of trouble getting in to see doctors and stuff. All I wanted to point out about Lance is he's not like a regular doctor's office, right? That's not why I'm able to get in to see him so easily. He's a one-man show. He works for himself. He doesn't have, he owns, he's renting his office space, right? And where he's at right now, I think it's just him there, but I've been seeing him for 5 years, and at previous locations where he had like extra space, he would rent a room out in his suite to another like therapist and stuff. So because of the way he runs his outfit, it's just a lot easier to get in and see him at short notice than like if you call the doctor's office, the doctor's booked out for weeks or months. You know what I mean? And
so you do know about that
someone else in the practice. Yeah.
Now, let me ask you this, Becca, because actually I do resonate very well with what you're saying, truthfully, and I do have to point out, I am still alive, so ultimately my medical team, my whole medical journey last year was, I'd give it 3 stars out of 5, but absolutely no more. And part of the reason for that is because they did not care at all about any kind of natural medicine. Herbs, vitamins, minerals, nothing. Nothing. Well, I mean, they literally told me I had a food-based multivitamin, right? And they were like, well, we'd really rather use our multivitamin. And so because last year, I don't want to go real deep into it, but because my life was literally on the line, It's like, okay, so I didn't throw it away. I actually got it refunded because I had just got it. But I mean, even something like that, it's like, guys, it's a multivitamin. Really? You're going to raise an issue about a multivitamin? But yeah, they did. So what makes you, Becca, so willing to, and I'm not saying it's wrong at all. I'm genuinely asking you, what makes you willing to work with people like Lance, or even other individual providers? Because I wouldn't hesitate to do that too for like maintenance stuff and like less serious health concerns than what I was dealing with. But what makes you willing to do? Because a lot of people are like, oh no, I'll just go to the doctor. I'll just go to the it's like it's not an MD. They want nothing to do with it and anybody else, right? Like they don't want acupuncture. They don't want Reiki. They don't want even chiropractors. Right? People are like, oh no, I'll just get a painkiller. They won't even go to the chiropractor. It's like, guys,
or even.
So what are you asking me, Brandon? I'm not sure what your question is. You're asking me why I'm seeing Lance instead of going to a doctor?
Well, and what makes you willing to do that?
Well, let me tell you, I've sustained some pretty major injuries in my life, and so I have chronic pain. I have a lot of pain. And it's worse on some days than others due to different factors like stress in my life or to activities I engage in. Like if I do stuff where I'm raising my arms a lot or I'm turning my head a lot, it causes problems in my neck because I've had 4 whiplash injuries to my neck. It's one of the problems I'm dealing with every day. And I was in so much pain when I moved here in 2015 because I'd just been in my 4th car accident. And I hadn't gotten the best care back in Missoula where I used to live. And when I found Lance, the reason I've been seeing him and why I'm willing to pay his rates, he's not cheap. And insurance won't pay for it because it's massage therapy. The reason I do it is because he's the only doctor or practitioner of any kind who's been able to help me get so much relief from my pain from all my different injuries. Like when I was in Missoula, my doctor there had me on different pain pills and muscle relaxers for years. Because while I lived there, I was in 4 car accidents over the like 20 years I lived there. And so that was my doctor's answer was all those freaking pills.
Yeah.
And I hated taking pills.
And that didn't help you?
No, not really. Not like living a better quality of life does. Like I practice health and wellness now, right? Like back in Montana, I was stuck in the medical system, right? Ever since I woke up from the coma when I was 12, I'd been stuck in the medical system. But when I moved here, I started practicing health and wellness. And that's what's helped me recover. And Lance has helped me with it because he's a practicing massage therapist, and there's several different modalities that he practices. He went to school at SWEHA here in Phoenix, at Southwest Institute of Healing Arts in Tempe, Brandon, if you want to check it out. But I may
do that because I really like your approach.
Yeah, he's the only practitioner who's really helped me have long-term like success. And I mean, I've also, like, as I've been seeing him these 5 years, I've been getting my quality of life back. I've been exercising more and more as I'm feeling better, right? And I drink more water. I'm trying to exercise good eating and drinking habits too. But Lance has just helped me so much on my journey to restoring my health and getting my quality of life back. And it's through the health and wellness I've learned from him and so many other people I've met through Southwest Institute of Healing Arts, but primarily Lance. So
yeah, can I ask you, Becca, just for comparison purposes, nothing personal whatsoever. You guys in Arizona, we are here. So, like, what is the price for typical massage? Like, if you want to go for an hour typical massage, what is it?
So if you go to the Southwest Institute of Healing Arts, they do different things there. And one of the things they have there is they have a massage school, and their newly graduated students, you can go to their massage clinic there and see one of their newly graduated students for really cheap. It's like, gosh, I think it's maybe $50 an hour.
Woo.
Or something. It's really, really cheap.
But if you go to professional,
but Lance is a professional who's been practicing for a number of years.
Mm-hmm.
He
So what would that
charges.
be? Yeah.
He charges he charges me $100 an hour, but his other people he charges like $125 an hour. He gives me a special rate because, like I
For
said,
an
we've been
hour?
friends for years. $100 an hour, yeah.
Well, but he also has other modalities too, like
yeah,
he doesn't
he
only
does.
do.
Yeah, he does reflexology and cranial unwinding and deep tissue and like just all of it, right? Like I really feel like he meets all of it. And another thing about Lance, like I remember one day he was working on me and I was talking to him like always, because Lance and I talk a lot. We're really good friends. And I was asking him, we were talking about how long he'd been working on me, and I was commenting on how amazed I was that he was able to help me so much, because it's like he can feel how my body's hurting and know just how to touch me and how much pressure to put where and stuff, right? And he told me back then that he had suffered a lot of injuries himself in life because he'd lived a kind of a rough life, I think. And he told me that he thought that maybe it was because he had injured himself so much and had to help himself recover from his injuries. Maybe that's why he was able to help me so much, is what his theory was. And it kind of made sense to me. But yeah, I really feel like he's helped me a lot because of his knowledge of, how to help the body using like holistic medicine. Like when I was up in Montana, like I said, I was trapped in this nightmare of Western medicine. And like I had been refusing to cooperate with the doctors for years when I finally left, because like I hadn't been cooperating with them since I was 16 years old, right? I kept refusing all kinds of stuff, but my body was breaking down, right? Because I had stuff going on I needed to be treated for, but I didn't trust the Western medicine doctors anymore.
Well,
and so when I moved here, I started looking for holistic medicine, and I found Lance in the Southwest Institute of Healing Arts,
Well, it is really good that you are trying, because, Western medicine is good in its own way. Those neurological surgeries, cardio, like hip replacements, knee replacements, like there's so much to talk about. But when it comes to basic things, they are so weak. They're all big pharma related. I mean, I am working with them, I could say that I work in healthcare, because I deal with a lot of healthcare patients on daily basis. And when a patient comes to the doctor and saying they're having trouble sleeping, I hardly hear them say, okay, how about you try some chamomile tea? Make some strong chamomile tea. That's what I do, for goodness sake. And it knocks me out. They try melatonin, which is not so bad.
They start prescribing pills.
Yeah, and then melatonin is the least of the of the big problems, but then they start going deeper and deeper, and they get people addicted, and it's just so wrong.
Oh yeah, my family's dealt with addiction. Like I've talked about my sister on previous shows. My sister, she still calls herself a drug addict today, although I don't think she's used pills in a while, or in several years. But like when she was in high school, my sister got addicted to pain pills, right? And she struggled with addiction her whole life because of it. And it was because when she was in high school, she injured herself playing basketball, and the doctor gave her pain medications, but there were no adults helping her manage them, and so she was abusing them and got addicted.
Yeah.
And I think this is a very timely discussion too, guys. Because, or ladies, should I say, because I don't know if you guys did, but I watched the entire hearing this week about the fentanyl crisis.
Oh.
And I really think we're going to see some success where that's concerned. I hope so. I'll tell you, boy, I really like that junior senator. She's just a junior senator, but boy, she can talk, and she's got guts, man. It's
Which senator?
I don't even remember her name. But you'll probably hear her because she always mentions, I admit I'm the junior senator here. I sat at the kids' table, but I'm telling you right now, I'm going to be loud and proud, and I'm going to speak my mind sitting at the kids' table.
I haven't been watching it because I have, I work during the day. Okay, well, we'll come back.
Ladies and gentlemen, please stay with us. We'll be right back after these messages. Hi, it's me, Rebecca S. Meadows, the author, with my new book, Living on Borrowed Time, The Ravings of an Angry Survivor of Traumatic Brain Injury and Guardianship Abuse. It's available on Kindle Digital Download, Amazon Print on Demand, and on Audible. Please go check it out. And now, back to the show.
All right, Anya stepped away, but Brandon, why don't you start back up with what you were talking about?
Oh yeah, well I'm just saying, there are a lot of people that either are addicted to or actually die from, and yes, I sorry, Becca, I might have just got you kicked off YouTube. I'm sorry. I am. I said the word die instead of unalived. Oops, sorry. I actually have guts.
Right.
So hopefully your rumble, is okay. I don't believe we should be so damn politically correct. My gosh, if someone dies, they die. It's.
I've been concerned about drug addiction for most of my life because when I woke up from that coma, and then when I was a teenager, they had me taking all kinds of pills that I had never taken a lot of pills, right? Maybe like we took Flintstone vitamins when I was a kid, right? and then when I woke up from that coma, all of a sudden I had dozens of pills I was taking morning, noon, and night, right? Pill boxes like an old person, right? And
I know exactly how you feel.
But I hated taking all those pills, and I always wanted to get off all those pills. So when I was 20 and they locked me under that guardianship, I weaned myself off of all of those pills. And ever since then, I take only what I feel I need to take. And every time I'm with a doctor and they try to prescribe me a medication, I debate it with them. And I ask them, I make them tell me why they think I need it. And you know what? Since I've become an adult, every single time they wind up deciding through our conversation that it's not really necessary, and I don't get that prescription. I don't do prescriptions. And there's times too when I go see a doctor, like the last year it's been kind of crazy. I'll go see my doctor and she'll tell me, "Oh, I want you to go get this like physical therapy, or I want you to go get this prescription," and I just don't bother to fill them if I don't feel like it's something I need or really want. You know what I mean? Even though my doctor's prescribing it, because I've been my own best doctor for most of my life ever since that accident happened when I was a kid. And I've never, ever since then, I've never just listened to a doctor, right? I've never just taken their word for gospel. I always think about it myself. I do my own research and I decide if I really want to follow through with what the recommendations are. And
I'm the same way.
Most of the time, I just decide to fall back on my own health and wellness that I've been practicing. I don't take a lot of medications. A doctor has to really explain to me why I need a medication, before I'll take it.
I feel like these days, there's a lot of looking into back to Eastern medicine versus Western medicine, because Western medicine has become so corrupt, with all its with all its goodness. There is so much bad stuff that is happening, and a lot of people are turning to meditation, yoga, different healing practices, different herbal.
And all of these are things I'm referring to when I say health and wellness. You know what I mean?
Yeah, a lot of people rediscovering.
I just want to point out, though, that I do agree with you also, Anya, that like certain things, depends what you're talking about, but especially like you mentioned, like neurological things, if you're dealing with, some kind of psychiatric condition or something neurological, like autism or something, cerebral palsy, something. I mean, I think Western medicine has a place, but I think it's given too much pride of place, though.
Right. And there are things that I would still go to a hospital for. Like if I won't have any more children, but if I were to get pregnant, I would go to a hospital for that, right? To have the baby. And I would go see a doctor throughout the pregnancy. I did that with both of my pregnancies. I was very good about going and seeing my doctors for all my appointments and doing everything the doctors said. It's just other than my pregnancies, though, I just haven't really followed doctors' advices,
Well, even with pregnancy, even with pregnancy, I hear women being recommended to take COVID vaccine while they're pregnant because it's gonna protect them. You see, and
Oh
it just
yeah.
pisses me off to even hear it. And I have to say to the patient, like, holy shit, like, what am I even saying? I know that I'm lying to them, but there's nothing I can do.
Oh yeah, see, I would never do that if I had been pregnant during the COVID thing. Now listen, when I was pregnant, my doctor told me, he said, you can take Tylenol if you have a headache. It's no won't hurt the baby. But I wouldn't even take Tylenol because I didn't want to hurt my baby, you know? I mean,
Yeah.
the doctor said it wouldn't hurt the baby, but I just didn't want to take a chance, right? So I just
Yeah.
suffered with headaches. So that's what I mean, right? Like I don't take a doctor's advice unless I see sense in it. And most of the time, like I explain my reasoning to them, and they usually wind up agreeing with me. You know, that really isn't necessary after all. You know,
Guys,
Yeah.
I just heard last week, so this is as of last week, but people are now being recommended by places like the CDC and the WHO, which we're withdrawing from, hallelujah,
yeah.
to take their 8th booster. So
Yeah.
how exactly effective was any of the COVID-19 vaccines from Pfizer, Moderna, or Johnson & Johnson if people are now being asked to take an 8th booster? My gosh.
My gosh, all of the people that step forward to take these 8th boosters, like, how do they know they're not going to be rounded up and put in internment camps where they can be tested because of all of the? I mean, they've been letting themselves be guinea pigs for years now with these crazy vaccines. And
I'm just saying, remember when we were told it's safe, it's effective, it'll stop the spread. We have an epidemic of the unvaccinated. Remember when we heard that?
yes,
I was
yes.
part of that epidemic, by the way. I say it loud and proud. I don't give a shit.
Yeah,
that wasn't what the problem was, you know.
Well, I told you guys, like with my previous job, when I worked remotely, they were still trying to get me to take the fucking vaccine.
Oh yeah.
Even- yeah.
Oh yeah.
So I had to fight a battle, and then luckily I knew some, legally equipped people who could step up and kind of, guide me and kind of teach me what to say, how to
Good.
say. Yeah, so I was fighting them, and I love telling that story because it was so freaking wrong. They should not have ever asked me to take the vaccine, not just because I was not in office, which is in person is already bad enough. They cannot make anybody take a vaccine, but let alone working remotely. It was just too
I'm
crazy.
sorry, Becca.
It was
this might be the episode that gets you kicked off of YouTube.
Yeah, honestly, I was
I'm
wondering.
sorry.
I was thinking about that, but
I like this discussion, but YouTube might not
Yes.
be happy with us. I
Right,
don't
right,
care
right.
about that either. You know, there's Rumble.
Yeah. So,
There-
ladies and
there's-
gentlemen, if you want to see the rest of this conversation, if we do get kicked off YouTube, please follow us on Rumble.
I don't think we will at this point. Things are different today than in 2020.
Might have to roll the meta, right? Because Mark Zuckerberg is trying to make amends, I think, and I'll let him do that. You know, let me ask you guys this. Yeah, what do you think about the people like Mark Zuckerberg and things that are trying to now make amends? You know, I'm cautiously optimistic. You know, because I don't think that those of us who are more right leaning, I mean, we have to be careful, I think, not to engage in our own cancel culture that we just spent the last at least 4 years, if not more, complaining about, right?
Well, he knows which side the toast is buttered on, so
Mhm.
yeah,
but
I wouldn't trust him. He's like, he's a wishy-washy dude, and he goes with whatever.
Yeah, I don't trust him either.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not no, and I'm not saying that we have to be best buds with them or anything, but I liked what Mr. Musk did with Twitter and releasing the Twitter files. I liked what Mark Zuckerberg is doing. He was literally saying, look, I mean, the federal government was all but compelling us to do this, and I'm not going to do it anymore. I didn't want to do it then, but guys, come on, I just got to advocate for him a little bit. I mean, if you are running a company and the federal government is telling you do this or you're going to face serious consequences.
No, but
Listen.
Brandon, no. But
Can you
why?
guys hear me?
Okay, go ahead.
I'm not cutting Zuckerberg or any of these clowns a break. They violated our constitutional rights with all their BS, even if the government was leaning on them. In a true democracy, when the government leans on you to do stuff like that, that's corrupt. That's when you stand up and say, no, it's
Exactly.
wrong. And he didn't do that.
He didn't do that. You're right.
And a coward and you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
do. Oh, I do. I do know
agree.
what you mean.
Yeah.
I totally agree. I mean, so he came out now and said, "Oh, feds were pressuring me, blah blah blah." Okay, where were your guts? Why didn't you step out back then? Why didn't you say nothing back then? You had your platform.
Yeah.
You
could come out back then and said, "Ladies and gentlemen, the federal government is pressuring me to do A, B, and C, and I want you to know, blah 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 blah." You know, but
because
no,
he's a freaking chicken.
I agree. Playing patty cake with those people.
No, right. No, this is why I'm discussing it with you. I'm not saying that I personally am or am not. I think we can all make our own, decisions about that. But it's something that I think is worth discussing. Because there's a comedian that, a lot, she was saying something recently, and people were like, yeah, and her clips went viral, right? But then immediately, within hours, they turned right back around and were like, no, screw you. It's like, wait. I mean, I
think I know what you're referring to. It didn't have to do anything about the tariffs and Mexico and all that stuff when they were making.
I don't remember. No? This was a lady. It was a lady who was a comedian, and she was like really nervous, but they let her do her thing. And people liked it at the time, but then later they did go back and they did find out that years ago, she was one of the people that said, if you don't have the vaccine, you can't come to my show. So they were just like, no, you're horrible. You're terrible. But guys, she's been changing her tune over the years. I mean, I do think people can change. So
they can. And look at Tulsi. What's it? God.
Gabbard.
Yes, she changed. At least I hope she changed.
Right. And Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Hell, even Donald Trump.
Yeah,
exactly. Even Trump. Yeah. I mean,
but I do agree
Trump,
with you all.
They were all Democrats back in the day.
Yeah, but I agree that we should kind of, at least for now, kind of hold them at arm's length, right? Like, stop. Like, we can talk, but you're not coming to my house. We're going to meet at a neutral location.
Uh-huh.
You're not going to know my phone number. You're not going to know the name of my kids. We're not getting that chummy. We're not, but so I don't know. I just think we have to be careful. And I do also think that we need to see reform with, the entertainment industry and the healthcare industry.
So healthcare is a mess. Yeah,
it is. Like, I was laughing earlier, not because it's funny. Don't get me wrong. Please don't get me wrong. But you just used such visceral language. You said, I was trapped in the nightmare of Western healthcare.
Yes,
those words were so visceral, and it's like people think that Western healthcare is like the gold standard. Oh, Becca, how could you use such language about Western healthcare?
Well, like, I'm telling you, when I was a teenager after the accident, I had to make so many damn trips back to the hospital. So, at first, we were going back 5 days a week back to the hospital for therapies and shit, right? And over time, it tapered off, but it was terrible. And then even after I was finally released from my therapies, like, I was still doing a lot of doctoring until I was 20 years old when they locked me under the guardianship. And that's when I weaned myself off of all the medications they'd had me on. And I stopped cooperating with them. And I decided I was just going to I would take advantage of the tools they were giving me, but I was going to stop cooperating with all their nonsense. Because I've been putting up with their shit for 8 years.
What you did.
I've been putting up all their nonsense for 8 years at that time, submitting to all of the horrible tests they wanted to do on me, and all of the stuff that, you know what I mean, just a bunch of bullshit. Medications. I'm telling you, I had dozens of pill bottles. I was 12 years old, and I took all these pills till I was 20. Like,
no, I do. I do. I know what you mean.
more pills
But
than a
lot
person in their 90s takes. And it was wrong.
Yeah, no, I agree. But a lot of people don't have that fortitude that you demonstrated, though. They just, and that's why I just kind of wanted you to talk with people about, how did you develop the bravery and the determination to do that, to say, look, I'm going to stop using all these allopathic approaches, and I'm going to go a different direction. Like, a lot of people can't get the bravery up to do that.
It was a gradual thing over time. Like, right away, I told them, I said, you guys are wrong with your diagnosis. I mean, I didn't say it in those words. I was a child who was newly brain injured. I told them, I said, you guys are wrong. God won't let that happen. But what I was saying was, you got your diagnosis is wrong. Your treatment is wrong. And I was trying to tell them, this is what I'm experiencing, da, 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 da. And they're like, oh, you can't be experiencing that because our tests say your brain is destroyed. And I said, well, my brain's not totally destroyed. I'm experiencing this, that, and the other, but it took so much time before I was good enough to start doing anything on my own, right? Like the healing was so gradual. It took so long before I was well enough to show them that I had any aptitude or any hope of recovery. And by then, the lawyers were involved, and my parents and the lawyers just wanted me to shut up about getting better, because if I kept talking about getting better, then they wouldn't get as much money. You know what I mean? And
I think that encapsulates a lot what you said right there. I think.
Yeah. And then 8 years later, they locked me under that guardianship. But it was at that point, I weaned myself off of all of those damn medications they had me on.
And I will point out, I thought I'm going to use the word again, but you're not dead. It didn't kill you.
I know. I not only did I survive and recover from everything that happened to me, but I also recovered and survived everything they tried to do to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so, but I'm saying so many, and to be clear, I hope that you did go off of those medications with some kind of consultation. I mean, because especially if somebody has like a psychiatric condition, I think you do need to think very carefully before you stop and as you stop taking traditional medications. But I'm all for you stopping if it's possible for you to safely do so.
Yeah, no, by the time this was all going down, this was 8 years after the accident, and I was no longer taking my seizure medication. I'd been off my seizure medication for several years at this point, so I knew I wasn't in danger of having a seizure, and the other medications, they were vitamins, and some of them were supplements. Most of them were just that, right? There was like lithium and Prozac that I had to wean myself off of, but I weaned myself off of them, right?
Yeah.
I weaned myself off of them gradually. I didn't just stop taking them overnight, and I had actually had myself off of everything. Like I did this when I was 20 when they locked me under the guardianship, but I also did it years before, like 2 or 3 years before, when I was still with my mom when I was a teenager, because they had me on so many drugs when I was a teenager, and my brain was fried with all these different drugs, and because they had me on Prozac and lithium and all kinds of bad shit. Yeah. And so even before they locked me under the guardianship when I was 20, years before when I was a teenager, I actually weaned myself off of a bunch of my stuff, a bunch of my medications. And then when because my mom, every time she took me to the doctor, they would draw my blood and check like the different levels of medication and stuff. And they would check my white count, because my white count was low for a long time after the brain injury. And when your white count is low, it means you're more susceptible to illness, right? And so they would test all these things every time I went to the doctor. And so I had been skipping my medication for several weeks at this point, because I'd weaned myself off of them, right? And so my mom was taking me to the doctor. So I had to tell her before we went to the doctor that, oh, by the way, Mom, I haven't been taking these medications for this long, and blah, blah, blah. Well, she called the doctor up, and the doctor said, since I'd had myself off of them for so long at that point, that I'd be fine. So,
So they didn't scold you or anything?
No, they didn't scold me. But had I asked permission rather than forgiveness, they would have said no.
Of course.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I learned back then to just do things on my own. And if it ever came up, I'd be like, sorry. You know what I mean? But one thing I learned is over the years, especially when I was locked under that guardianship, the guardian didn't really care what was going on. So like at one day, they would say, okay, we want you to start taking this drug, right? Well, I wouldn't take it. And they'd never follow up to see. You know what I mean? And I realized this eventually. So I just stopped participating in their bullshit and I stopped following their instructions. It was terrible going to those meetings and shit. Like I'm telling you, I would cry during those meetings a lot because they were so cruel to me and my husband when he was involved later on and stuff, right? But I learned how to start taking control of my own life, right? By simply ignoring them. Because really, what were they going to do? They were so busy chasing after the money and then protecting the money when they got it. They really didn't care about what I was doing. They'd say, we want you to do A, B, and C, but they didn't bother to see if I did A, B, and C, you know?
And I will tell people too, like that's right. That's something that I noticed too. Like if you're in the medical system right now and you resonate more with that model of Western medicine, sometimes called the allopathic model, I would advise you if for whatever reason or like if you feel you have to be right now, please tell all of your doctors, you know, what is going on. Please don't assume that Dr. A is going to talk with Dr. B because often they don't. And that's, right. I still don't understand that to this very day, but they, and they might tell you something about, oh, well, HIPAA. Okay, you guys are doctors. You make me sign like a Bible, you know, before you'll do anything. It's, you know,
right.
Permission for this. Give us permission to that. Do we have your permission for this? Yeah, come on. And then you can't even bother Dr. A, tell doctors B and C. And come up with a decent kind of recovery plan. But I agree with you, Becca. I'm not sure that they really want us to recover. I don't know. I mean, I'm not going to say all doctors are evil, but I don't know what happened with Western
Brandon, it's not like okay, we'll come back to that.
Ladies and gentlemen, stay with us. We'll be right back after this break.
Why don't they have blind people sections at sporting events? Why do I got to pay the same price to not see shit? Okay? The Jumbotron ain't even built for me.
I am the business manager here at the Visually Impaired School of Arizona.
I see you brought the film crew. Make sure you get my good side.
All right, settle down and get focused on your tasks.
I teach the art of cuisine, child.
You want to know what the problem, the biggest problem in the blind community? It's you sighted people.
Just take a look over here.
Yeah, I don't know where that is, man.
Okay, you all need to turn off those cameras and just leave the building.
Wait, Joe, hold on.
Oh, on your right.
You're on the right.
How would you know that the men you're dating are black?
No, this is not card member services. This is the Visually Impaired School of Arizona.
Gigi, where are his pants?
I don't know.
Billy doesn't work here. He basically came with the building.
I can be the very first mayor of Blind Sylvania.
Make Blind America great again.
There goes my pie.
This happens every day?
No,
sometimes.
Of course not.
All right, we are back, and I just wanted to share some great news with everybody before we continue. So don't look now. We received a few awards this week. We received an award. Yeah, we received a Best of Fest award from a festival in Los Angeles, and we received Best Comedy at the Chandler International Film Festival. And our lead, one of our leads, Nathan Hurd, received Best Comedic Performance at a diversity festival.
Wow!
Yeah, I'm telling you guys. And my wall's already plastered with awards. I can't wait to get these new ones framed. Wow. It's so amazing.
I was going to ask you guys about it because last show nobody mentioned a word, and later my husband and I were talking about this. Like, well, they were advertising like January. Like, what happened to the festival? And now we get to hear. So
right. Yeah, and I'm sure we've got other festivals coming up too. But it's really exciting, and I'm glad that we're able to share it. And
Well,
yeah,
you
Nathan,
guys have said that you're thinking of doing another production, open parentheses S, close parentheses, right? Production or productions.
Oh, we're not thinking about it. We're already in pre-production of our show, that the horror movie we're going to go into production on in May. Yeah, we're in pre-production right now.
Well, I
Right,
just
well,
was
what
only going
about
to
this
say, I don't
one?
know why I get these headlines, but apparently there are some other things, movies and TV shows being shot in and around Phoenix. It's like, oh wow, why are y'all coming here all of a sudden? Okay, all right.
Yeah, so Arizona, like, you know, Gino and I have been working together since 2019, and I don't remember what year it was, maybe 2020 or 2021. Arizona brought the tax credits back here for filmmakers, and that's
they did?
that's why
Oh.
you're seeing more activity here in Phoenix with people making movie pictures and stuff, right? Because they brought the tax credits back here, so it makes sense to make movies here. Like, for example, like when we shot, well, the way the tax credits work, like you get, like, say, a third of the money you invest in the state back through tax credits. You know what I mean? So that's why people would film here.
That's not actually correct. Beck, every state has different requirements.
I know. I said, for example.
Yeah.
But
Arizona did bring back the tax credits. Unfortunately, they're not that great here in Arizona, so you're going to see a lot of big production companies, but they're not really all that helpful to the indies because of the requirements for how much you have to spend.
But do you know? And I don't know if you want to say, you know, a lot or little or anything about it, but I mean, it seems like to me, Arizona, you know, like from a directorial perspective, and like just considering our topography and stuff, you know, the landscape and everything, seems like Arizona would be a pretty cool state to shoot if you just think about, like, from a director's standpoint. I mean, because we've got the glyphs. We've got canyons.
Yeah, it absolutely was.
We've got mountains,
in the 80s and 90s, there was a lot more activity than they, you know, didn't have the tax credits. And New Mexico blew up because they offer the best tax credits in the whole nation.
That's why you guys went there to film, huh?
Correct.
Yeah, that's why we filmed Don't Look Now in Albuquerque.
Yeah, but I'm saying just from a movie production perspective, do you think Arizona is a good place physically to shoot a movie? I mean, it seems like it could be to me, but I don't know. I'm not a director. I don't know. I'm not a producer.
It is, but there's a lot of southern states that have very similar landscape, like New Mexico, like Texas, like Oklahoma. And that is why they brought the tax credits back, because they lost so much activity
revenue
and work here, you know, for so many years, that it helped those other states get that, get that work and activity.
Yeah, they got the edge.
I gotcha. Okay. But that's cool, though, to zoom back to what you guys were saying, that you've won some awards. Hopefully that is on a positive uptrend. That is good.
Well, forgive me, but it seems to me like every festival now's been in, it's either gotten an honorable mention or it's gotten runner up for something, or it's won an award. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
which is good. That's what you want, right?
Okay, well, you got your honor, you got your acknowledgement at the festival, but is there any, like, next level? Like, what comes after?
Well, so it's popular. Like I said, it seems like it's winning awards right and left and everywhere, right? But we're waiting for an investor with the funds to step forward and help us make the first season. First season. Because this is just the first episode, and there's a whole Bible for the first season that we have written out. So
yeah. Well, I'm sorry, I'm asking these questions because I don't really know much about movie industry whatsoever.
Right.
So.
Yeah. Well, that's how it's done. Yeah, it's a movie's not made by one person. It's a group thing, right? Both from the financial end and the actual hands-on end. Like, there are so many working parts to making a production, whether it's a 30-minute sitcom like Don't Look Now, or a full-length movie like The Blue Butterfly that we've been working on, or like a horror movie like what we're going to be shooting in May, or like something like a little ditty like this invasion that we have, right?
But a Blue Butterfly never got filmed, did it?
It hasn't been filmed yet. We have the script ready. The thing is, the budget for The Blue Butterfly, it's a large budget. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So we don't have the money to make it right now, which is why one thing, if people have been following what we're doing here at Blue Butterfly that we've been doing for almost 5 years now, is we've been doing things and they're small. They started out as small things, but we're always getting a little bit bigger, right? Like the writing projects have been getting bigger. The video projects have been getting bigger and more involved. And our TV/movie projects, they're like all bigger and more involved as we go, right? And it's like a process that you build upon. You know what I mean? Does that make
absolutely.
sense?
That's very well said. That's very well said, Becca. That's exactly right. You know, when you're starting a company in this space, you know, it's really difficult and risky to just go, here, you know what? We're going to just try to put out a $10 million movie that we don't have $10 million for. You kind of have to build a track record. And that's what we've been doing for years is, you know, start out small, get some awards, move on to a bigger project, get some awards, and try to get it out to markets. This horror film, we're very optimistic because horror is just an amazing space to be in. They are the most lucrative type of film for investors. So that's why we're like, okay, this is in reach for us after doing Don't Look Now. Whereas Becca's story, to do it right, to do it the way would honor her and to honor my creative vision for it, we need to have that track record that we can present it and say, hey, look, we really need $3 or $4 million to do this, and we want a name actor to play the role.
Yeah. And that's why we're producing these smaller things, so we can show a track record of Gino's skill as a filmmaker and a script writer, and my skill as an executive producer and actress. I mean, amateur actress, right?
But you didn't participate, right, Becca? You didn't participate in Don't Look Now. You did not have any role there. You did?
I did. I have a speaking role in Don't Look Now. Yeah.
You did? Remind me, what was it?
Yeah.
So
she did a wonderful job.
I played this one character. Her name was Becca.
Oh, you played yourself. Well,
I played myself in the show.
You were named after.
Guys, I apologize. It's been so long. Like, we saw this movie almost a year ago.
Right. Well, and Gino we could probably arrange for you and Robert and maybe Anya and Brandon too to watch it online in the next couple days.
No, we actually want to see. Okay, we have a friend locally here who wants to see the movie, and we already talked to Gino about this. We just have to organize when he has time. We have time. We get together, and Gino said he could share with us.
And
we could.
Gino could send you the audio described version. You know what I mean? If you guys want.
The people who we want to show it to, they're not blind. So audio described, it's not.
But I'm very glad there is an audio described version.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
I'm really proud of the fact that we got an audio described version. And honestly, if Blue Butterfly Enterprises and BBE Entertainment take off like I've been believing and dreaming they're going to, my plan is that each of our projects will have audio description on them in the future. Because I feel like all filmmakers, they should be making all of their products audio described for blind people. Just like, you know, everything's been, I had closed captioning on it for decades already, you know. It's about time that everything is audio described as well.
I wish they would. I mean, I did, because
it should be industry standard.
I think, you know, a lot of people have this misperception about blind people that, you know, we're all very sheltered, or we wouldn't understand, and we don't understand nuance, and we don't understand sarcasm, and we don't understand dark or dry humor, you know, which is completely inaccurate. So blind people are just as diverse and different as everybody else.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I never met anybody who would think that blind people would not understand humor, but yeah, sometimes they leave out details. That's a problem. Like, without.
Yeah, but you know what I mean. But surely you've met people that probably wouldn't think that we would understand, like, I don't know, or they just think like how would I even describe that? It's like,
Yeah,
well,
yeah,
look,
yeah.
there are people that can give you the words, okay? I understand not everybody's a wordsmith or, a polyglot or whatever, but you can find the words. Like there are ways to describe it. Like
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I hope you guys have a lot of luck with this because
Yeah.
it's
Well,
good, especially with new
I'm really
filming.
I'm sorry to say it, but every time we win another award for Don't Look Now and Gino shows up at my house with it printed out and we are able to frame it and hang it on my wall, I am so proud. You know what I mean?
and I don't think that's wrong. I don't think you have to be sorry about that.
And then people come over to my house and they're like hanging in my entryway, right? It's like I can't believe I really am an executive TV and movie producer, you guys. It's really happening. I've got proof on my wall. Even though very few of my friends have even seen my show Don't Look Now, I have proof on my wall that it's really happening.
But why did they not? Why do you want to see it?
Well, for example, when we went to the NFB convention last year, the NFB blackballed it. Very few people at the convention got to see it.
Oh yeah,
because
I know.
we had
I
to
know.
show it off-site. We weren't
I
able to
know.
list it in the convention agenda. The NFB totally blackballed us, and so there were very few people that got to see it in Orlando. And we haven't really had a screening otherwise, other than the one in Orlando,
Yeah,
Honestly,
I remember that. Like we had a hard time getting there, and the reason we got there on time was because my husband was sighted,
Right.
and he could easily lead us there. But there were many blind people who could not figure out their way, which was very confusing. I mean, I'm
Right.
telling you, like if I was without him there, I would have gotten freaking lost. It's not that
Yeah.
easy to get to the theater. I remember.
But I think the bigger issue though is, and I don't want to speak for you guys, but it seems to me, my perspective is that you guys are awake but not woke. I think
Right.
that's the larger
That's exactly what it was. That's why the NFB blackballed us, because we're awake, not woke. Yeah. So.
And there's a big difference there. There's a really big difference there.
Oh, I know. And you can see the big difference when you see how much Blue Blood BBE Entertainment and Iyengar Productions have achieved compared to the NFB. Because the very month in August of 2019, when we opened our company, that's the month that the NFB started their Let Us Play Us campaign, right? And they haven't done squat with it. But Gino and I made it happen. We used blind people in all areas of the production of Don't Look Now. Actual literal blind and legally blind actors and actresses, blind and legally blind executive producers, and you know what I mean, and just like just a regular producer. There are people in all areas of this production that had different levels of vision loss or who were totally blind. And we really did it. And the NFB won't even acknowledge it. And I think it's because they're embarrassed because we did something they didn't have the guts or the courage to do.
Well, but I don't think, fortunately, and I say fortunately, but I don't think, your shows aren't all about cramming the woke agenda down our throats. You guys just make good shows and good movies, entertaining or
entertaining
or
and educational,
Sure, very, very creative. You guys have your own visions of what you want to put out, and you just do it. You just put out what you put in. You don't say, oh well, we need to mention the vaccine in there, and we need to mention LGBTQJRZXYIA plus in there, and we need to make sure that we make fun of men as stupid, idiotic dolts. I need to make sure we do that, and oh, by the way, let's exclude all the gun owners, and let's denigrate Second Amendment. Let's make sure we do that, and that's what.
Yeah,
that's
I'm really saddened because I was actually looking forward to introducing Don't Look Now to Mark Riccobono and other members of the NFB who I have really adored over the years and really considered friends, right? I was really looking forward to sharing it with them at the convention. And the way they treated us, I was so hurt. Just really hurt by the way they treated us. And after that, and now I'm looking at the success Gino and I are having with it, right? it really makes me feel good about it. You know what I mean? That we actually did something really great here, something that the NFB will never be able to take a part in.
I never knew until about a year in of being formally affiliated with the organization. I never knew that at the top, they at least historically, under the direction of President Mark A. Riccobono, have tended to lean into the radical left agenda. I didn't know that. I thought that we were supposed to help blind people, not be a political organization. And so I'm glad, actually, that I never made it higher in the organizational ranks, because I would not have been a good fit.
And that they're always shaking down blind people to give money, you know what I mean? And if you're already giving money, give more money. And if you're already giving more money, give us even more money, right? At every single convention, that's what you hear. And it looks to me like it's a big racket to just get money from all these blind people.
Yeah. They do a lot of fundraising among themselves. But but before we finish, I wanted to ask you guys, are you guys planning to go to New Orleans for their convention at all?
I won't be going back to New Orleans. New Orleans sucked. And if
You
that's
did?
what's gonna happen, oh yeah. Were you at the convention in
No, I said no freaking no. I was not gonna wear a freaking muzzle. I was not gonna do vaccine or show passport. Nothing like that. I didn't go.
I can't believe they're doing New Orleans. I'm sorry to interject, but Becca and I were in New Orleans together. Becca, how many people were hit by cars?
There were at least 3 blind people that were hit by cars.
What?
There was at least 1 blind person that was mugged by a homeless person.
There was a blind. I remember there was a blind person who, just using their cane, someone on, obviously like a homeless person or something. He's trying to walk with the cane, accidentally hit the guy, and the guy put this person in the hospital, like beat him up, and
wow.
It was terrible. Beck, that's when we met Tamer. I literally ran out into the street and saved this kid from getting hit by a trolley. It was very dangerous. That was the worst. I was in shock. But the food was amazing.
Well, no, wait. Now I gotta ask now, because the NFB would automatically question you guys. Well, this is why we need cane travel training. These people probably don't know about orientation and mobility training. What do you guys think? I mean, did they look like, they didn't know how to get around, or did these people look pretty competent, put together? What do you guys think?
With regards to the person that was attacked, that had nothing to do with, a lack of cane technique. And that had everything to do with the fact that, he had no ability to know that there was a person sleeping on the ground,
right,
as he's using his cane.
Right.
And so as he's walking by and accidentally, hit him with the cane, the guy, being probably mentally ill, got up and attacked him.
And so I can say, as a confident, competent cane travel, person, when I leave my house, I take my cane, because I don't know what the neighborhood kids might have left in the middle of the sidewalk or whatever. But I can tell you, it was probably just a little tap. It's not like the blind person. I'm sure they didn't haul off and whack him with a 10-pound hammer. No, it was a little tap.
We're talking about somebody who was clearly mentally ill that then attacked a person who was defenseless, because it's not like they can see what's happening and defend themselves properly.
Right.
But I would say this, because I've been to a lot of these conventions with Becca, and how they arrange those the hotel overflow, right? That is the most dangerous intersection, with no skyway or anything. Unlike Texas and Florida, where there's ways to go through the convention, go through safe ways to get to the main hotel. That is not the case in New Orleans at all.
Wow.
That surprises me, because I thought they were going to be back in Orlando next year. That really irritates me that they're going to New Orleans.
Well, see, Orlando is too unsafe, because some of our members of the community do not feel safe. I don't know why, but they just don't feel safe.
Well,
I think going back to Vegas would be
Ron
good too.
DeSantis.
I love Vegas.
Yeah.
Well, that's so weird. You guys were right there. Like we were in Vegas too, and we never came across each other. It was so weird. Like you guys.
I was in Vegas. I did go to the Vegas one.
Okay, but Brendan, are you going to New Orleans or no? Either.
No, it's not on my to-do list. If I happen to be in the area or something, but no, it's not on my to-do list. So.
Yeah.
Well, my husband loves New Orleans, so we had not gone that time. So I hope we could go.
Hey, you know what though, guys? I think doesn't the ACB, the American Council for the Blind, have their convention during the same week? I think I'm going to find out where their convention is, and maybe Gino and I can go to it. Because I've been wanting to go to the ACB for a few years now, and I've always gone to the NFB, but
I don't know what that year. No, they're a lot smaller, and I don't know where they are this. No, I don't know what they're this year. Last year they were in Jacksonville, Florida, but not this year. I don't know.
So I actually have the phone number for, I think her name is Karen. She's a member of the ACB here, and she's been trying to get me to come to, I mean, I've been to one meeting, right? But she's been trying to get me to come back. But I could call her and get information about when and where their convention is going to be in July.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think that's what Gino and I will do this July, and just skip the NFB convention.
Well,
I
just
bet we'll
so
get
you
more out of
know,
the
though,
ACB.
Becca, they do have a totally different organizational structure, though.
Yeah,
So can you tell me what you know about it?
Well, I know, for instance, that like it's just totally different, right? Like so the NFB is more of the top. Yeah, I know they say we take a democratic approach, and they definitely do, but their leadership structure is top down. In other words, the national convention decides the agenda for that year, and that's what all of the members of the NFB focus on. Whereas the ACB is the bottom up organization. So they're very grassroots. They're very, individual towns, individual cities can and do have differences because it's a completely different structure. I'm not saying it's bad, but it's just a totally different structure. So just so you know.
It was worth going and checking it out, I think. I know. So one thing that's frustrated me about the group and why I haven't gone to more than one event is because they don't have in-person meetings. They have online meetings, and then they have social events outside of those online meetings. And I guess I'm just not into social events. You know what I mean? I'd rather go to a meeting. So
yeah. Well, you guys let us know what's going on next. When you.
Do you think you and Robert might want to come to the ACB meeting or convention?
Well, it depends where it is. I mean, we are planning to go to NFB this year because Robert loves New Orleans, and I've never been. I've never been to New Orleans, so you guys are saying all these crazy things, but he remembers it to be a different town back in the day. So I'm willing to give it a try. And
if he's been there, and you'll have a lot of fun with him there, I bet.
Yeah. And the funny thing is that when we went to Italy the last year, 2024, we went to Italy, and then on a tour, we had a lady with us. She was a tour agent, like a tour person for New Orleans. And so she gave us her business card, and she said, "When you guys are in New Orleans, just let me know, and I'll give you a free tour." I was like, "Okay."
I would love to go and see the city. I do wonder if it's anything like, obviously not exactly like, but anything like what you see in the cinematography of NCIS New Orleans. I just love that, they're right there by the water, and there's the music. There's always somebody playing music outside, and I'd love to go down there. But is it a priority of mine to go to the national convention of the National Federation of the Blind? No, it's not.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Not until I see how they're going to react. I mean, did you guys do the video of, Democrat people just melting down today about Elon Musk? I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy.
I didn't see it. No, I guess
people got to realize the country is changing. The pendulum is swinging back. Okay, it's get on board or get out.
Well,
okay?
Brandon, do you have any liberal friends on your Facebook? I mean, if you do, they are trying their hard. Like they are emailing and calling their senators and the congressmen. They're trying to push it back. I mean, I appreciate your optimism and I totally share it. but I don't want you to get too far, way too far into celebration, because there is a big pushback, and we have to be cognizant of it.
I agree. But I just think it's just nice. It's nice to be in the party of power right now, because now they know how it feels.
Yes, that's how I feel.
They were in power for the last 4 years, and they did radical things. Oh, but when we do radical things, it's just
It can't be had.
I've been in multiple Facebook fights. I was telling Gino before we started the show. Yeah, because I've been pointing out to people like, hey, hello, like, why are you upset about who is doing stuff instead of what is being found? Hello.
For example, if the Department of Education is so great and so good, then why did we just see the national report card be what it is?
No, it's just too bad.
No, really. If they're so great and so good, see, I don't think they are. Fundamentally, I don't think they are. So I don't have a problem. Now, do I acknowledge that, abolishing the Department of Education, is that a pretty radical move? Yes, it is. I acknowledge that. But I don't care that it is, because it's not like we're taking away something great. Did you guys read the national report card? They're not doing a very good job.
Yeah, I agree with abolishing the Department of Education. I think it's a step in the right direction.
Because they're not, our nation's kids aren't that smart, are they?
No. It makes me angry, and it saddens me to see the quality of education our kids are getting today. It pisses me off. They deserve better.
And half of the kids in your classroom don't even fucking speak English.
They can't even read. Even the ones who can speak English, who've lived here their whole lives, they can't even read.
Yeah.
And
so
it's
that's
wrong.
what I'm saying. The Department of Education,
I'm tired of our kids being robbed.
They're not doing it right. They're not doing something right.
Yeah.
So let the state do it, and I guess we'll see who really cares about child education and who doesn't.
Oh, if it goes to the states, I think it's going to be a good day for education.
Well, I think it may be a mixed bag. But
it'll be a mixed bag. You're right.
I don't think it'll be much worse than what it is right now.
Yeah, so right. Well, we just have to observe and see.
Yeah.
Okay, well, gotta get going. I guess we should wrap it up.
I guess we. I hope we didn't get you kicked off YouTube. You yourself said some things too, but that's why.
Thank you guys for joining us today. Please be sure you are subscribed to us. Peace out, y'all. Hey guys, how was that? I guess we're not on the air anymore. Since Gino played the music.
No, we're still live. Let me close out the show.
All right.
Thank you for watching Betcha's World. Please like, share, and subscribe to my channel.